You're lonely, I get it. You want me to feel bad for you? You want me to feel sorry for you, sit here and sulk with you about how shitty our lives are? I'm not gonna do that because your loneliness is self-inflicted. It doesn't matter if you were surrounded by hundreds of good people, you'd still feel lonely. And that's because there's a difference between loneliness and being alone. There are many people in this world fine by living alone inside their own bubble. It's because they take care of themselves. They have a positive outlook in life and they understand that the world will give back what they put out. If you're someone with a negative attitude, then your life will simply reflect that chaos. So if you're feeling lonely, it's a representation of how you feel internally. And sorry to break it to you, but you don't have a healthy internal dialogue. I know this because I used to be lonely too. I now understand that loneliness is a choice, not something that happened to me out of thin air. Once you understand that it is your responsibility, then that's when real change starts to happen. In this video, I want to go through why loneliness is difficult to overcome and then give you practical strategies on how I overcame it. So for my first principle, I want to dive into why we experience this epidemic of loneliness. 52% of Americans report feeling lonely today. The reason you're having the same conversation over and over again is because we live in such a pretentious society. Hey, how are you doing? Good. You? Big smile on your face. Everyone's pretending to be great and doing so well on the surface. But I know for a fact that all of you are going through your own internal struggles. You just wouldn't be human if you weren't. I used to put this front on where I made everyone believe I was perfect. My family used to say, look at Issa, be like Issa. Wow, Issa's such a great guy. Yeah, but I was also the most emotional bitch on the inside. I used to lie to everyone and act like everything is fine. But let's be real here. When is it always fine? When is life ever perfect? I swear, even when shit is going smoothly, I'm expecting something bad to happen. The point I'm trying to get at is that we're all trying to fight our own inner battles, and pretending to be good for society is only gonna set you up for failure. The perfectionist mentality is making us feel lonely because we can't relate to anybody if we believe that they are better suited for something than us. Do you know how many people I speak to that are way better communicators than me, but they can't seem to put themselves out there because of this crippling feeling of needing to be perfect all the time? They make hundreds of excuses for something that requires just one small step. Once you understand that every single human being is just a person like you, then maybe you'll find more ways to connect with them. I used to complain about how nobody seemed to like me, especially in high school and college. I was always trying to please people. I even went into the career of hotels and restaurants to try to master this skill of getting people to like me. After speaking to hundreds of people a day, I still felt lonely. And I'm telling you, it was because I was trying to be someone else. Even though those people would love me, they'd give me gifts, tip me really good money, I'd still feel lonely. And when you hinder your true self to please others, you start to despise the world and hate the character that you're becoming. On my weekends, I would want to be alone. I didn't want to see another person's soul. I found myself being on the other extreme of antisocial because I exhausted that part of me. I even turned into a complete introvert in the last couple years. Me, Issa Ibrahim, an introvert, the guy who was a master at small talk and loved to socialize with anybody. I guess that's what happens when you ignore your authentic self. The other extreme comes out. Just like Fight Club, the main character got pushed to the extreme of blowing up his own apartment just to live in an abandoned house because he was exhausted in this pretentious world that he was living in. In The Rise and Triumph of the Modern Self, Carl Trueman argues that cultural developments of the past 3 centuries have transformed our conception of selfhood from a self rooted in religion, tradition, and community to one rooted in individualism, emotion, and sexuality. The second reason for our loneliness is the loss of community, tradition, culture, and religion. We are living in a war of ideas. Everyone has their own ideology, their own philosophies, and everyone believes they are right. This war of ideas came from postmodernism, and it only worked to divide us and make us further apart. Red meat is terrible for you. No, you should actually do the carnivore diet. The Republicans, no, the Democrats. You should work out 5 days a week. No, 1 day a week is better. Stoicism, Aristotle, Plato, no, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Jehovah's Witness. It's like, what do I even believe anymore? Can you really blame Gen Z for being lost? They don't grow up with one set of values, principles, religion, and a set of culture that they can just follow. When you don't have a set of values protected by your own boundaries, then you will fall for anything. We have lost our sense of community. We have become selfish in a nutshell. It's always about how do I make more money? How do I get ahead of this guy? How do I survive? What happened to we, man? What happened to the brotherhood that's supposed to help each other get to the success? It's like we don't even want others to succeed anymore because it means we failed. I truly believe one of the biggest reasons we are lonely is because we lost that set of traditions, culture, and values that we used to live with and agree with. But the biggest thing keeping you lonely is your victimhood. You believe you deserve better. You believe you deserve good friends, love, and attention. If that's the case, then why does your life show otherwise? Your life is supposed to be a representation of who you are. When you find someone who's wealthy, successful, and competent, you find someone with a good attitude. These people know that life will give them back what they put out. If this is true, then you simply have a poor attitude. I'll prove it to you. When a problem enters your life all of a sudden, do you ask yourself, oh, this is such a nuisance to deal with right right now? Do you experience anxiety and stress around that problem? Do you come up with 1,000 different possibilities of how this problem can screw you over? Then you have a poor attitude. A person with a good attitude sees the opportunity in every obstacle they face. They have a mindset of, I will get over this and become stronger. They understand that lives have ups and downs, and instead of fixating on the negative, they choose to be positive. They choose to do good and be good in this world. The world can take everything from them, and they still decide to be grateful for everything they have in their lives. These people have true strength. They chose not to sell out to their every impulse and instead take responsibility for every action they take. So the reason I'm not being sympathetic towards you is because what is me comforting you right now gonna do for your life? You might sit there and feel good in the moment, but if you have a negative representation of who you are, there is no amount of words that I can say that will make you feel better. The point I'm trying to make is that you need to start taking responsibility for yourself, especially if you're a man. Have some pride in being useful. You wanna be less lonely? Do something useful. Help your neighbor cut their lawn. Do something for the community. Do something beyond yourself. Do anything that will keep you from being scum. Once you understand that most of your feelings of loneliness is self-inflicted, then you'll be on the right track to fix this epidemic happening within you. Because you, my friend, have the key to solve this problem. And in my next principle, I will dive deep into how to overcome loneliness. Once you understand that most of your feelings of loneliness is self-inflicted and you start taking responsibility for your life, that you are now on the right track because you have the key to fix your life. One way you can overcome loneliness is learning how to be authentic. There's a doctor that goes by the name of Tom Laughlin who treats his cancer patients by getting them to do what their true calling is to the world. And you won't believe this, but these patients that succeed in being their authentic self end up going to remission. Is this a miracle, or could it be that ignoring our true selves leads to diseases and self-pity that cripples our souls? Is it a coincidence that people who aren't authentic end up getting cancer? Is there a correlation to unauthentic people and lonely individuals? Well, the Tom Laughlin Foundation that treated cancer patients focus on the Jungian school psychology, which has to do with the self and the ego. Apparently, when a patient finds out they have terminal cancer, their self takes over and suddenly they see the world in a whole new perspective. Instead of working extra hours on the weekend, they see the value of flying out to their kid's graduation ceremony. Let's look at this study on authenticity and the relationship between loneliness and well-being. According to this research article, it turns out that loneliness is associated to the two components of authenticity, awareness, and unbiased processing. Considering all the data indicating that loneliness may reduce authenticity and that both variables are associated with well-being, it can be predicted that authenticity will mediate the relationship between loneliness and well-being. Now let's take a look at rumination. Rumination is that part in your brain that focuses on the negative content that results in emotional distress. This is like you overthinking about your past and present that makes you miserable. Finally, in the experimental investigation in this study, it was shown that authentic self-expression led to reduced rumination. Therefore, it seems reasonable to suggest that authenticity contributes to lower rumination, whereas inauthenticity leads to the intensification of ruminative thoughts. That's right, inauthenticity leads to emotional distress, which mediates the relationship between loneliness and well-being. Stephen Pressfield in The War of Art says, could it mean that our unlived lives have exacted their vengeance upon us in the form of cancer? And if they did, can we cure ourselves now by living these lives out? One great way that you can be authentic is working on a personal project. Just choose something that requires effort, time, and dedication. It can be a coding project, a YouTube channel, a body transformation, even a garden. Something that is difficult and requires a lot of patience and time to work towards, because that will shape the character that you want. This project will challenge you to cultivate virtues that you'll be proud of as a man, because they help peel layers of your authentic self that make you realize who you are. The deeper you go into a project, the more you'll learn about yourself. If you want proof, just scroll down my YouTube channel and see the kind of pretentious guy I was making hospitality content trying to please people online, and look at the person I am now trying to just be authentic as I can to myself and my audience. If you want to know if you're living authentically, just ask yourself this: do you put on a fake face for people every day? Are you content with your daily routine? Are your actions a representation of who you are? If not, then start doing something today that will help unpeel those layers of authenticity instead of drowning in self-loathing pity. The second way you can build authenticity is to allow yourself to fail and look like an idiot. I always tell people that are afraid to fail that you have to do whatever it takes to take that leap of faith. You have to embrace failure and actually want to seek failure over and over again. Just imagine taking a shot in basketball for the first time in your life. Do you think your form is going to be good? Do you think it's going to be a perfect shot? You think it's going to go in the net? Bro, obviously not. It's going to take hundreds of thousands of shots to get your jump shot to a decent level where you might be shooting 30% from the field. Take it from me, it took 4 hours a day an entire summer to develop a mid-range shot, and I was still breaking from the three-point line. So allow yourself to go out there and just be an idiot. The entrepreneur that has millions of dollars won't make fun of you for starting your first business because they know how difficult it was for them too. A social influencer with 1 million followers won't make fun of you for putting out your first piece of content because they know how how it felt to put their first piece of video out. You have to allow yourself to look like a fool so that you can be great. You have to remember that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And every great person was in the same position as you. You have to ask yourself what is keeping you from taking that leap of faith and just bite the bullet and do whatever it takes to do it. That difficulty, that feeling of just being judged by everyone around you is so crucial. It's a necessity for you to be authentic. Do whatever it takes to explore that side of you. You will be proud of yourself for just showing up and having the courage to take the step that 99% of us won't. The third way you can be authentic is by having a brotherhood. If you don't have a brotherhood, then it is your responsibility to build a garden that attracts people instead of chasing. When you work hard on yourself and you show up to these communities, people will see your efforts and have respect for you. For example, if you go to a boxing gym and just show up 3 times a week, people will respect you so much for showing up, and you might build such great connections with those guys because they have the same values and mindset as you. Wherever you're a part of, learn to spread good vibes and bring the best out of people. People will return those good vibes back to you when they feel it's genuine, and the beauty of being genuine is that you can't fake it. It comes from an authentic place inside. You have to just find a way to be kind and spread your gratitude with everyone. This comes from the internal dialogue, the self-care, the self-respect that you build for yourself, all those journaling practices that get you to understand yourself on a deeper level, the knowledge that you can be kind even when life is being shitty to you. The people I have the most respect for have suffered the most, and they still choose to do good for this world. They put a smile on their face despite all their losses. To me, that is a genuine good person who understands what it means to live. I also believe that having a brotherhood to express your fucked up energy is so crucial. You know, when the boys come together and they act like complete degenerates, they say the stupidest shit, and they laugh so hard at each other because they can just be completely themselves and honest and real. To me, there's nothing more valuable than these type of friends. This actually helps us express authenticity because it allows us to be our true selves without any judgment. You know how good it feels to let out all those bottled up emotions on your chest just sitting there? Man, it's so important to have brothers who just understand what you're going through and actually go through the same shit as you. One, because it makes us feel like we're all in this together. And two, it feels good when the person on the other side actually gives a shit about you. You no longer feel lonely and that you have to bear these obstacles on your own. The last thing you can do for your loneliness is live beyond yourself. We live in such a selfish society, especially in the West. It's always, how can I benefit myself? Even when my mom asks me for a favor, I always ask myself, how will this get in my way? When I should just be thinking, how can I help my mom? There's a man in my mother's life who does everything for the sake of others. He always goes out of his way to help people. He genuinely wants to do favors, and he remembers the most crucial things that people need help with. And you know what's crazy? He's literally the most fulfilled person I know. I never used to understand this side of him, but he's actually advanced now that I think about it. So doing volunteering or community work will do wonders for your loneliness. Volunteering as a coach, donating money and clothes to charity, cutting your neighbor's lawn, these are all simple things that make us feel 100 times better about ourselves. And this week, I'll be giving back to my community by holding 20-minute coaching sessions. So if you feel like you need someone to talk to or just help solving a problem, I'll be giving 20 minutes of my time this week. So for the first 10 people that use the link below to sign up for coaching, I'll be doing that for free. The last thing I want to leave you off with is to stop glorifying loneliness. It might make you feel better in the moment of connecting with someone else who is lonely like you and just being depressed together. But honestly, is it really fixing the core problem? Instead of feeling bad about your loneliness, please do something practical today that will push you in the right direction. Because remember, this is a self-inflicted problem that can only be solved once you take responsibility. So are you going to be accountable from now on, or will you continue to be a victim of your misery? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel only if you're a real one. I'll see you next time.